3번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
When it comes to the decision to get more exercise, you are setting goals that are similar to running a half marathon with very little training. You make a decision to buy a gym membership and decide to spend an hour at the gym every day. Well, you might stick to that for a day or two. But chances are you won't be able to continue to meet that commitment in the long term. If, however, you make a commitment to go jogging for a few minutes a day, or add a few sit-ups to your daily routine before bed, then you are far more likely to stick to your decision and to create a habit that offers you long-term results. The key is to start small. Small habits lead to long-term success.
2번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
Playing any game that involves more than one person teaches kids teamwork, the consequences of cheating, and how to be a good team player. Whether they win or lose, it's not hard to see how those skills make it into the daily lives of kids. But like all things we hope to teach our children, learning to cooperate or to compete fairly takes practice. Humans aren't naturally good at losing, so there will be tears, yelling, and cheating, but that's okay. The point is, playing games together helps kids with their socialization. It allows them a safe place to practice getting along, following rules, and learning how to be graceful in defeat.
3번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
Who is this person? This is the question all stories ask. It emerges first at the ignition point. When the initial change strikes, the protagonist overreacts, or behaves in an otherwise unexpected way. We sit up, suddenly attentive. Who is this person who behaves like this? The question then re-emerges every time the protagonist is challenged by the plot and compelled to make a choice. Everywhere in the narrative that the question is present, the reader or viewer will likely be engaged. Where the question is absent, and the events of drama move out of its narrative beam, they are at risk of becoming detached, perhaps even bored. If there's a single secret to storytelling, then I believe it's this. Who is this person? Or, from the perspective of the character, who am I? It's the definition of drama. It is its electricity, its heartbeat, its fire.
4번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
The problem with simply adopting any popular method of parenting is that it ignores the most important variable in the equation, the uniqueness of your child. So, rather than insist that one style of parenting will work with every child, we might take a page from the gardener's handbook. Just as the gardener accepts, without question or resistance, the plant's requirements, and provides the right conditions. Each plant needs to grow and flourish, so, too, do we. Parents need to custom design our parenting to fit the natural needs of each individual child. Although that may seem difficult, it is possible. Once we understand who our children really are, we can begin to figure out how to make changes in our parenting style to be more positive and accepting of each child we've been blessed to parent.
5번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
You meet many different kinds of people in your life. Sometimes you run into those who are full of energy, and you wonder if they are from the same planet as you. After a closer look, you realize that they too face challenges and problems. They are under the same amount of pressure and stress as you. One word makes a world of difference: attitude. Attitude is your psychological disposition, a proactive way to approach life. It is a personal predetermination not to let anything or anyone take control of your life or manipulate your mood. Attitude allows you to anticipate, excuse, forgive and forget, without being naive or stupid. It is a personal decision to stay in control and not to lose your temper. Attitude provides safe conduct through all kinds of storms. It helps you to get up every morning, happy and determined to get the most out of a brand new day. Whatever happens, good or bad, the proper attitude makes the difference. It may not always be easy to have a positive attitude, nevertheless. You need to remember you can face a kind or cruel world based on your perception and your actions.
6번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
The psychology professor Dr. Kelly Lambert's research explains that keeping what she calls the effort-driven rewards circuit well engaged helps you deal with challenges in the environment around you, or in your emotional life, more effectively and efficiently. Doing hands-on activities that produce results you can see and touch, such as knitting a scarf, cooking from scratch, or tending a garden, fuels the reward circuit so that it functions optimally. She argues that the documented increase in depression among Americans may be directly correlated with the decline of purposeful physical activity. When we work with our hands, it increases the release of the neurochemicals dopamine and serotonin, both responsible for generating positive emotions. She also explains that working with our hands gives us a greater sense of control over our environment and more connection to the world around us, all of which contributes to a reduction in stress and anxiety, and builds resilience against the onset of depression.
7번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
The vast majority of companies, schools, and organizations measure and reward high performance in terms of individual metrics such as sales numbers, resume accolades, and test scores. The problem with this approach is that it is based on a belief. We thought science had fully confirmed that we live in a world of survival of the fittest. It teaches us that those with the best grades, or the most impressive resume, or the highest point score, will be the only ones to succeed. The formula is simple: be better and smarter and more creative than everyone else, and you will be successful. But this formula is inaccurate. Thanks to new research, we now know that achieving our highest potential is not about survival of the fittest, but survival of the best fit. In other words, success is not just about how creative or smart or driven you are, but how well you are able to connect with, contribute to, and benefit from the ecosystem of people around you.
8번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
Too many officials in troubled cities wrongly imagine that they can lead their city back to its former glories with some massive construction project. A new stadium or light rail system, a convention center, or a housing project. With very few exceptions, no public policy can slow the tidal forces of urban change. We mustn't ignore the needs of the poor people who live in the Rust Belt. But public policy should help poor people, not poor places. Shiny new real estate may dress up a declining city, but it doesn't solve its underlying problems. The hallmark of declining cities is that they have too much housing and infrastructure relative to the strength of their economies. With all that supply of structure and so little demand, it makes no sense to use public money to build more supply. The folly of building-centric urban renewal reminds us that cities aren't structures, cities are people.
9번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
Advice from a friend or family member is the most well-meaning of all. But it's not the best way to match yourself with a new habit. While hot yoga may have changed your friend's life, does that mean it's the right practice for you? We all have friends who swear their new habit of getting up at 4:30 a.m. changed their lives and that we have to do it. I don't doubt that getting up super early changes people's lives, sometimes in good ways and sometimes not. But be cautious, you don't know if this habit will actually make your life better, especially if it means you get less sleep. So yes, you can try what worked for your friend, but don't beat yourself up if your friend's answer doesn't change you in the same way. All of these approaches involve guessing and chance, and that's not a good way to strive for change in your life.
10번. 다음 글의 요지로 가장 적절한 것은?
Most parents think that if our child would just behave, we could stay calm as parents. The truth is that managing our own emotions and actions is what allows us to feel peaceful as parents. Ultimately, we can't control our children or the obstacles they will face, but we can always control our own actions. Parenting isn't about what our child does, but about how we respond. In fact, most of what we call parenting doesn't take place between a parent and child but within the parent. When a storm brews, a parent's response will either calm it or trigger a full-scale tsunami. Staying calm enough to respond constructively to all that childish behavior and the stormy emotions behind it requires that we grow, too. If we can use those times when our buttons get pushed to reflect, not just react, we can notice when we lose equilibrium and steer ourselves back on track. This inner growth is the hardest work there is, but it's what enables you to become a more peaceful parent, one day at a time.